So it is that time once again, the end of another incredible video gaming year. But I'm telling you, 2019 will never be forgotten because there were so many amazing games that came out, and I'm going to talk about a few of my favorites, just a few of my favorites. Some of them I've mentioned before, some of them I'm mentioning for the very first time in this episode, but I'm going to get started right now. Now, at the beginning of the year, a beautiful little game came out that most people, I believe, passed on, and I think that's a crying shame because I want to get more in this series. I've always supported this series intensely ever since I played the first one that I played was number 3, and that was Ace Combat 7. This came out to little fanfare, and there's a wonderful flight simulation in here, a game that I really believe more people should play. The dogfighting is excellent, the storyline is intense, it's gripping, you always want to know what comes next, you can unlock a lot of planes, and it's just a lot of fun. If you've ever liked the movie Top Gun, you'll feel really at home with this game here. There's also an incredible VR component in there that will scare the hell out of you where you're blasting off an aircraft carrier. But this is by Bandai Namco. You can get this game on the cheap right now. High recommendation. And this is one of those games that I keep thinking about that I want to go back and revisit. So that's why it's really there as one of my games of the year. Now, I bought the insane special edition of this game like 6 months before the game came out. And I had my reservations. I'm like, are they going to be able to do a remake to one of my favorite games on the PlayStation 1, which was Resident Evil 2? Are they going to do it justice? Is it going to be amazing? And you know what? Capcom this year came back in a huge way, and they started with this game, the Resident Evil 2 remake. Knocked it out of the park. I would say this is my number 1 game of the year. If you buy any game, if you like survival horror, if you like the old Resident Evil games, you must give this a shot. It's very cheap as well. Like a lot of these games I'm recommending are now discounted prices. They're must-plays. Resident Evil 2, the atmosphere, revisiting Raccoon City, just the attention to detail, and to the new things they added into the game. Nowhere is safe in this game now, where before you could sometimes be safe in the main police hall. Nope, you always got to watch your back. The animation, the character designs, they knocked it out of the park. A high recommendation. I'd say my game of the year. Now, there was a few eagerly anticipated games this year. Some people had been waiting years for a sequel to Kingdom Hearts. They were waiting for Kingdom Hearts 3. Did the game live up to the hype? Well, from what I can see and from what I can tell out there is, it did okay. I think a lot of people were upset. The game's length wasn't that long. They found the game way too easy. I thought it was just right. I love the world building. I love the characters. I love the Square Enix characters mixed with Disney characters. I thought it was perfect. It lived up to my expectations, and I had a real lot of fun playing it. I love, obviously, the combat mechanics are so cool. The gummy ship was even interesting in this one. It was all right. And that's usually the thing that I used to hate in past Kingdom Hearts games. I thought they got it right here. Kingdom Hearts 3, I thought it was quite good. Was this the year of Capcom? I think so. There was so many amazing games, starting off, as I say, with Resident Evil 2, and then we got Devil May Cry 5. And I kind of got a little bit lukewarm with this series. I really enjoyed the first few, and then I kind of got a little burnt out on it. So my expectations were not high for number 5. Oh my god, as soon as I started playing it, the frame rate, the characters, the world setting, the demons, the huge boss encounters. Oh, I fell in love with this game. This is a truly beautiful return to Devil May Cry. You know, not like that remake they made a bunch of years ago. This was true Devil May Cry, and across the board, I noticed from all of my friends and other reviewers, and just players everywhere, they seem to gravitate to this game and love it. They really enjoyed the gameplay, which feels and controls wonderfully. Big recommendation. Now, this game finally showed up after 4 years of backing the Kickstarter. We finally got Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night. And How was this? Did it live up to expectations? I got the PS4 version. I finished it really quickly because I just gunned through it because I was having such a great time. I loved it. I love David Hayter's voice acting in it. I love the mechanics. I love the return to a Symphony of the Night style game on a console. I thought it was gorgeous looking. I liked the bosses. I liked everything about it. I liked, creating new equipment, creating new items. I thought it was wonderful. It lived up to Koji Igarashi's promise, where the Switch version came out and had, unfortunately, a lot of problems, a lot of glitches, a lot of frame rate issues. So to begin with, that was not the ideal way to go. I didn't see that with the PS4 version. I had some glitches near the end of the game when I finished the game, some strange hissing, but other than that, Bloodstained lived up to it, and I can't wait for them to announce a Bloodstained 2. I think that's going to come in 2020 for sure. This year was really amazing because it was a mix of some new IPs and some old ones getting remakes. One of my favorites of the year was Samurai Shodown, and I played the PS4 version of the game, and I originally played this on the Neo Geo hardware back in the day, and I loved the fighting mechanics with swords and weapons. That's what made the game so special, and all the unique characters from a whimsical and historical past Japan. I thought it was a lot of fun. And how was the remake? I love the updated character art, and they could have got this very, very wrong, because some of the past King of Fighters games have been okay, some of the remakes and stuff like that, some of the sequels, but this game, they went back to what made Samurai Shodown awesome, and they got the characters right, they got the combat right. It was a very smooth controlling, easy to get into fighting game with awesome weapons, great characters. Highly recommend this, and I have a funny feeling this game is going to become very, very rare in time to come, and I believe there's a Switch version as well. Now, a game my wife spent over 200 hours playing. I didn't see her for months upon months, and she was quite happy to get lost in the world of Dragon Quest Builders. So if you like the world of Dragon Quest, you like the creature designs, the character designs, the world setting, and you also like Minecraft, it kind of combines both those things into one, and you'll spend so many hours building towns and cities and washrooms for your characters. And my wife got too carried away. I was like, every day I was like, oh my God, you're still playing this game? This is after like 150 hours. I'm like, you still playing this game? She was completely addicted. And I think, obviously, the best Dragon Quest Builders game to date. She loved running around with her characters, exploring other people's worlds. You should have seen some of the worlds that people built in this game, and I think it lived up to the hype. Kim loved it. So she has nothing but high recommendations for this game. If she was here right now, she'd be saying, buy this game. Now, a little strategy game got released by Nintendo this year, and I was so thrilled to see a return to console. Obviously, you can take it on the go with you, but it was the true return to a Fire Emblem game on console, and I had to pick up the special edition because I love this game so much, and that is Fire Emblem 3 Houses. This is a wondrous game, it really is, and across the board, people seem to agree with me. I got the game about a week and a half early for review. I played the living hell out of it. And I was sitting there in my living room saying, this game is really, really special. And I obviously I won't spoil anything, but there's some twists and turns in this story that you will not see coming. I was sitting there on the couch going, oh my God, they're doing this, or oh my God, they're doing that. And it's an overhead strategy game, right? Where you're moving around your troops and taking advantage of terrain, percentages and things like that. But there's a lot more to it in the story. And it's really cool how everybody comes together in this school. They're all training together for a bigger war that's about to take place. And that's all I'll say. I was really impressed with Three Houses, and I hope in the future Fire Emblem games can live up to this one. Path of Radiance, for me, is almost being overtaken by Three Houses. It's very close. And I mentioned this game in an episode called Games That I Missed in the Year, and boy, did I miss out on this game, as a lot of you did as well. A small game by Sega called Judgment. This game is a wonderful game, following in the footsteps of Yakuza. So if you're into those style of games, you'll feel very right at home here. This is kind of like a Gaiden side adventure to all of that series. You play an attorney on a quest for redemption, and the world setting is Japan, and it's so detailed. The environments are so wondrous, and the characters that you interact with are so fascinating. You'll get sucked into the story. Never mind the combat. Beating characters up in this game is so much fun. You'll spend a lot of time doing that and just traversing Japan, trying to get to the bottom of this cinematic mystery. Now, one of my games of the year last year is also one of my games of the year this year, because it got a Switch release this year, and that was for Dragon Quest XI S. What a great game. It has updated music. It has a 2D overhead version of the game that looks like past Dragon Quest games of the past. It's one of those games, if you have a Nintendo Switch and you like RPGs and you have never played Dragon Quest, big recommendation. You have to go and get this. It's whimsical. The character designs, the world setting, the music, the quests, the battles, riding horses, everything in this game is awesome. I finished the PS4 version last year. This is a must-play, must-own game. Dragon Quest XI. I can't say any more about it. I talked so much about Dragon Quest XI in the last few years that just go and get the game. Now, this is another runner-up for my Game of the Year. As they say, all of these games are Games of the Year. Resident Evil 2 Remake is there as almost the Game of the Year, and this one as well, Astral Chain by Platinum for Nintendo. And what's a fascinating thing about this game is it started off as a fantasy game, but they decided to change it to give it a more futuristic aesthetic and look, and boy did they knock it out of the park. The music in this game alone is reason to own it. I was playing it with my friend Andrew this year, and we're sitting there, and I said, you know what, Andrew? I said, the music is so 1990s, and it just feels like, it makes you feel like you're in an old 1990s anime, but the gameplay is so robust. The way you control your Legion and do combo attacks against enemies, this game is a sight to behold. One of the best looking games on the Nintendo Switch, without a doubt. Even in the first 5 minutes of the game, I'm playing it going, wow, look at this game. It's beautiful looking, it sounds great, it controls right. Game of the Year, one of the games of the year right here. Now, another really fantastic game that came out this year, and I didn't do a review on it or anything like that. I was doing all of it behind the scenes just for my own entertainment, and that was for Gears of War 5. This is great because I am a big old school Gears of War fan. I got my Lancer over here, signed by the head of the studio. Thrilled to have that. But the first Gears of War game made me a believer back then. It really did. I loved all of the combat mechanics. I loved the online multiplayer. Me and my friends would play every single night. And then I played the second one. And then I played the third one. And I got a little burnt out. I didn't play the fourth one. I never got into that. And then the fifth one I jumped in and I was like, oh, I really like this. And the graphics are some of the best graphics I've ever seen, honestly, on the Xbox. I sat there just going, I can't believe what I'm seeing. And just the storyline, the way it unfolds, and the characters, everything felt beautiful in this game. It's a must-play game if you have an Xbox or you're a Gears of War fan. It lives up to expectations. The next one I'm going to pick, you'll be like, what? You can't pick this? This can't be a game of the year because it's an old game. Where, yes, I can, because it's never been released in this country until this year, and it's on the Collection of Mana. So obviously you have the Game Boy Mana on here, you have Secret of Mana, and then you have Seiken Densetsu 3, The Trials of Mana, which in 2020, they're bringing in a full 3D version of the game, but the old 2D version of it, overhead version of it, is on here, Seiken Densetsu 3. It was released for the Super Famicom. It was never released in this country until this year officially. And I went through the game in the summer and I finished it and I loved it. And it's up there. I know, this is a guilty one for me. It's a game that I wanted to play 24 years ago and I couldn't. I played it now. And it lived up to that expectation that I had for it. It gave me that Super Nintendo feeling, because it is for the Super Famicom. I like the music, I got to revisit that music again, and I really got to get into the game, and I really had a lot of fun, and man, it's a pure nostalgic answer, really, because it just gave me that Super Nintendo feeling again, and that was so awesome in 2019. So Seiken Densetsu 3 on the Collection of Mana is one of my games of the year. Now, I made so many videos on this one particular game, and I don't feel guilty about it because I loved it, and I had so much to say about it. It was originally a Game Boy game back in the day. It got a full remake with The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. From that very first moment where you see Link on the ship getting washed ashore onto the island, I knew I was in for a real treat, and I really was. And the game is not a long game. You can go through it really, really fast, under 20 hours. But what's there is really magical. You know, playing as Link on this deserted island, and you're going around doing traditional Zelda style of dungeons. And some of them are really, really challenging. Throwing the boulder into certain sections, that bit got me so crazy over the year. But before I knew it, I was at the end of the game, and the credits rolled for me, and I'm not saying anything. I had a small tear. I had this small 1990s tear that took me back to that time of the Game Boy Advance and the DX version, and I finally finished this game, and I was like, oh my god, I loved it. I loved the cartoony graphics, I loved the gameplay, I loved all the items you could get, all of the characters, and the story especially. Go check out my final thoughts on Link's Awakening. I go into full detail about the entire game. Now, another game that I made so many videos on that definitely deserved it was this. This is nearly a game of the year as well. Very, very close. It's absolutely up there. Luigi's Mansion 3. Nearly a 10 out of 10 game for me. Wow. I'll to be honest with you, I thought I was going to enjoy the game. I started playing it and I'm like, oh my god, the effort they put in. They put so much effort into the graphics and the gameplay and the sound department and the music and the atmosphere and the puzzles. Again, knocked it out of the park. This game is a must-own game if you have a Nintendo Switch. If you want to play a great game for Halloween, as I've already said, you gotta play Luigi's Mansion 3. I really had a lot of fun with this game, and one that I really recommend, and you can play through the whole game co-op, and the multiplayer is really fun, and I think a lot of people are gonna miss over that. They're not gonna really delve into it as much as they should. Now, a couple of games that just kind of made it onto my games of the year. I thought at the last minute, I thought, yeah, I'll just mention them for sure. And that is Jedi Fallen Order. I really like this because I like kind of the open worldness, kind of, if I can say that, of this Star Wars game. And it's so much fun to play a Star Wars game once again. And I really like the graphics. I like the gameplay. It's challenging and it's fun and it's interesting. And it's a single-player Star Wars game that EA didn't screw up, so I'm really thrilled, so that's why I'm mentioning it. And obviously, the game that I have been waiting for so many years, we got this year. Did it meet my expectations? As a Shenmue fan, it did in the fact that I got Shenmue 3. I thought the storyline was a little lacking. I thought it was doing a lot of the same stuff it was doing in the past games. It didn't do a lot of new stuff, but that's okay. I like Shenmue 3, and I had a real fun time playing through the game. I think if you're a Shenmue fan, you'll really like this game. But as a new player, I don't know what you'll get out of Shenmue 3. Watch a lot of reviews and see if it's the style of game for you. But for me, I really had a good time with it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I mean, I come to the end of this list, and that is just some. These are some of my recommendations of the year, the games that I really enjoyed the most, and there was a lot of other fantastic games I played through this year that I really enjoyed, and a lot of other games that my friends really enjoyed. So guys, let me know, what are some of the games that you loved this year that are not in my list that other people down below can go in and read, and maybe we can all discover some brand new games that we may have missed in 2019. Let me know down below. So guys, 2019, what a year for video games. It was a really fun one. And for 2020, are we ready for that onslaught? Guess what? We're all getting ready. We're gonna get into it for sure. So anyways, guys, until next time.